Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first Pixel Ship podcast. This is just going to be kind of a free-form podcast where we're going to talk about, what we've been playing, what's going on in the news, and anything else video game related that we've put together. So with me, I have Joel Hartlob and Ryan Blandy, as well as myself, Ryan Hayes, and we currently make up Pixel Ship. You can reach it at pixelship.net. So, Joel, what have you been playing this week?
Little bit of Shogun Total War 2 over the weekend, and Dust, as well as I just picked up Final Fantasy 14 yesterday, thanks to
Final Fantasy
Steam.
14.
How is Final Fantasy 14? How is that different than the one that came out, guess a
I
couple
don't
years
know.
ago now?
People play it.
So is that the main difference? Is it still like subscription based? I heard something about the fact that they were going to go like free to play or something like that. I don't know if that
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
They go free to play. Awesome.
but it is
Honestly, I don't know. It's subscription based, yes.
okay. But it's like normal fee, like what, $15 a month, $20 a month,
That's correct. But
15.
you get the free
what?
30 months.
30 months?
Yeah, free 30 days with the purchase on Steam.
I was gonna say 30 months is basically free to play. That would get me interested. They're like, yeah, you get 30 months, and
30 months.
I
when
tell
get
you
sick
what,
of it,
though.
you get sick of it.
I tell you what, for $15
Oh, yeah.
for the game and the first 30 days, you can't really beat that. So
That's a fair point. I can't count how many games I've bought for $15 or more that I have played for less than 30 days. But I don't know. Like, how is it any different? Like, did you play the original or?
you mean Final Fantasy original 14 or 11?
I'll be perfectly honest. I know absolutely nothing about the RPG other than everyone stopped playing it and complained because it was buggy and crappy.
I didn't play the original 14 at all. I saw like a video or two, and just it was mostly people complaining about it, so I kind of just avoided it.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
So it was pretty much universally ignored. So what got you guys to play this one? Like, well, how is this one any different?
I've heard nothing but good things since the new release, and I don't know. I've just been kind of feeling like I needed that like medieval MMO sort of thing. I used to play WoW and all that stuff too.
Fill the gap that WoW has
Yeah.
left everyone.
Well-
Everyone's got this void in their heart.
I got sick of WoW for various reasons a long time ago, and even tried to get back into it last year and it didn't work. And then just looking up stuff and got that itch again, that hankering. And since it came out so cheap, I figured I'd at least give it a shot. So
Blandy,
far, so good.
How many hours have you put into it so far?
What?
Who, me?
Either of you. I'm just curious, like how far into it.
I only played it yesterday for a few hours with Joel, and then I was grinding while catching up on shows.
Okay, so that's kind of.
I saw Magitech armor. It was awesome.
I don't know what a Magitech armor is.
Final Fantasy 6, man.
Final Fantasy VI. Is that the one with the mechs and the snow and all that?
Yeah, they're called Magitech armor.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I don't know. I was like probably 10 when I played that
Yeah,
goddamn game.
I was too. The first time? What, you don't play it multiple times? What's going on? What's wrong with
No, because that cart is relatively expensive, and I don't feel
Ryan,
like
Ryan Blandy has a significant love affair with that
on,
game.
It's on the PlayStation Store. I got it for $5.
Oh, all right, that's reasonable then. Oh yeah, wasn't like some of your characters from our
Again.
Dungeons and Dragons campaign from it?
Oh, that entire
least.
campaign.
Oh, that
was
entire
based-
campaign.
That was
we
pretty much
played.
based off of Final Fantasy VI from the
It's a
get-go.
lot. There's a lot of it.
So maybe I do in
Considering-
fact know the plot of Final Fantasy VI and just didn't even realize it.
Considering the main enemy's name was Sefsa, and the main enemy's name in Final Fantasy VI is Kefka,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
pretty much had the exact same personality.
Well, clearly he took some liberties.
Took some liberties.
So how's Dust? I picked that up during the Humble Bundle, and it looked pretty interesting. It was all done by one guy. Is that true?
I have no idea about that. I just know that it is quite a bit of fun. I really don't have any complaints. The platforming gets a little tricky sometimes, just with because the platforms are a little deceptive.
How so? Like there's just the
Just
physics
like
boxes, or
yeah, the physics boxes. So like you think that you should be landing on the platform, but you're not. That sort of thing. But it doesn't happen very often, but it can be a little, when you're trying to get somewhere quick or trying to, get out of the way of something, it can get a little frustrating.
Okay.
But other than that, it's pretty well done.
Is it like adventure gamey? Is it RPG? Is it a hack and slash? Kind of how is it built?
It's mostly like a hack and slash. I don't know. It's like a platforming. I compare it to like Symphony of the Night, Castlevania Symphony of the Night for
Okay.
PS1.
Is
right?
it Metroidvania, like you collect items and get power ups and things like that?
Yeah, it has a little bit of that to it. I think it's a pretty short game though, so it's not like super extensive as far as that goes.
Okay, but you'll
But
hit a wall or a door or something, and you can't really go much further.
Correct. Yeah, it does have elements of that.
Okay. And then you said Shogun Total War 2?
Yeah, I was playing that a bit over the weekend. That's an older one too.
I can't get into those games. Those games take way, way, way too much like patience and methodical planning, and like I like real time strategies from time to time, but those games always seemed like a little cumbersome even for me.
I mean, it's no different than like Civ 5, really. I mean, it is, but it's.
Oh, and you know how much I love Civilization
That's a good point.
5. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the game. It is just a bit boring at times. But okay, cool. What about you, Blendy? What have you been playing?
Well, as we talked about, Final Fantasy XIV. I made a little man with as much facial hair as I could put on him. And then I also have been playing Persona 4 religiously.
Yeah, Persona 4. How do you like Persona 4?
What a delight. What a freaking delight. I never played it in PS2 era because, I had other things to play. Not to mention, Persona 1 and 2 is total garbage. I don't care who tells me, oh, they're fantastic stories. No, I'm sorry. It was not. It was boring as piss. The combat system was atrocious. I'm sorry. I don't like that game.
I've never played
Persona
any of the
4.
other Personas except for Persona 4, and that game was weird and delightful, and I'm not too far into it, but it seems like just the right amount of Japanese crazy for my liking.
Oh, but you didn't even get to kanji.
I have not, like I said, I need to sit down
man.
and play with it. My backlog is a bit
He's angry
overbearing.
because he's gay.
He's angry because he's gay?
And then apparently in Japan, audiences don't understand being gay. So then you get...
Well, I guess that would
it's-
be Japan audiences in 1998 or whenever the hell that
Yeah,
game came out.
it's
So
not fun. It's not fun. I'm just like, these homophobic motherfuckers. Good lord.
I don't think you should be disparaging to the entire nation of Japan because of a video
Well,
game
then
that
don't
came
make
out.
a game that goes like, hey, gay people are weird.
But I
Like,
again,
now I like
it is
kanji
one
more.
game. It's what?
Huh?
You said you like Kanji more now because he's the black sheep.
Well, no, he has actual interesting character depth until they keep going with the gay thing. Like, he
So-
was okay, and then they started going like, oh, well, I never liked things I sew. Like, every cliche that, a random person, like, what do gay people like? They put in the when you're just talking to them.
Well, maybe it's a point that the game's just kind of showing its age. But I
Very
didn't get
showing its age.
I didn't get into the combat too much yet. Like, I still don't fully understand
Oh,
like,
it's very
what the
basic.
personas are and kind of how.
Oh,
Because it was like
good.
this giant robot, or I fought a monster of myself or something like that, but didn't really get to use the persona other than how it was telling me to.
Yeah. Basically, in past games, the personas were your party members. And
Like,
it's
just
not-
human beings? Like, just like party members in Final Fantasy?
No. As in, you're a party member, then you have this fucking persona that is just Pokemon. It's just battle monster
okay.
time.
Like a Ni no Kuni kind of thing, where it's like
no,
it's you,
it's not,
and then
Ni no Kuni is a masterpiece.
I'm not trying to
Garbage.
talk shit on Ni no Kuni. I enjoyed the
Don't
game.
you dare talk shit on Ni no Kuni. But yeah, like the thing about Persona 4 is that if you want the computer to take control of the party members, you can do that. They can act according to whatever, a la like Kingdom Hearts-esque, whatever they do. You control your one person, but it's still Final Fantasy-esque turn-based.
Okay.
And then you can actually change that to where you control everybody easily when you're within the fight, and then it stays in the settings. So yeah, it's just Final Fantasy turn-based. The personas, they just show up when you do a magic attack or a physical attack. Whatever your magic is, that's when the personas show up and do their shit. They're more of a story component than in previous titles where they were let's catch fucking Pokemon. Now, granted, like with every person in your party gets a persona. Well, I won't tell you.
Yeah, don't spoil anything. 'Cause like I said, I will eventually
every
get to
person gets a persona, and then they join your group. And those personas level up depending on if you spend time with them, because this is also a simulator.
Okay, so yeah, I've definitely heard that it's like that, relationships, and you have to maintain and hang out with people, and I hear people saying, oh, I really should have hung out with this person more. So that's kind of how you're grinding XP for the personas, or unlocking things for the personas.
Yeah, I mean, like, they do gain XP by themselves, but I just got one to evolve by spending time with said broad. But your persona differs. Like, that's where the more conventional persona time starts to go in. Like, you can get these personas and breed them and fuse them and fucking make different personas, or you can just keep your own persona like I do and just not give a shit about that.
Cool.
Because I'm there for the story.
So what else have you been playing other than Persona and some Final Fantasy? You seem balls deep in the RPGs at this point.
Well, that's always what I'm balls deep in. I did play Black Flag a bit on the PS4.
How are you liking that?
It's okay. I mean, I'm kind of ignoring any Assassin Templar story because it's not about that anymore, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely like it 1,000 times more than 3, because 3 was complete and utter shit. And I
didn't even play 3.
It's don't even
but
fucking
people
watch the ending on YouTube.
So
yeah, it's not worth your fucking time.
Yeah. Thanks, Blandy, for ruining that for me.
Listen, I didn't know you didn't know.
Hey, you know what? Yours wasn't even that bad. There was like a website that ruined Castlevania Lords of Shadow Twist for me.
Oh yeah, I had that ruined for me. But
it was
mine
just an
was
article.
voluntary.
It was like literally it was like in the title of the article.
And this is how this game ends. oh, because of the new one.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool.
It. I even know about that shit.
Well, now
I didn't
know,
even play it, and I know about it. But like I said, mine was voluntary. So yeah, I don't know. The new Assassin's Creed, I think, is a cooler world. Kind of the ship, kind of getting supplies and stuff, I thought was pretty interesting. But for some reason, the sea shanties are my favorite part of that game. Like, I usually hated, hunt this thing down and collect all these things.
It's the biggest pain in the dick ever.
It's not that it's not a pain in the ass.
It's
not that it's not a pain in the ass. What it is that to me, it's very rewarding when you're kind of sailing around so much. You're like, okay, I need to take the time and find a couple more sea shanties so I don't have to listen to this. And it's not like they're bad. It's just they get repetitive.
I'm talking about chasing after them.
Yeah, that's like those notes in 3. Well, you said you didn't play 3, but there was something similar in 3, and it just didn't make it worth
Serious?
it.
Ugh,
I know what you're talking about in 3. I remember
that's
watching
garbage.
I don't even
one
remember what they
roommate play
were
it.
for. Like, were they?
I don't remember. It was like I don't remember what it was either, but I remember they were a pain in the ass. Just watching him try to chase them down.
But it's the same thing for this. To get the sea shanties, it's like a piece of sheet music, like flowing in the wind. But
It's garbage.
right on. Anything else, or was that pretty much it for the week?
Well, for the week, I'm trying to think what else I've been playing.
I personally have been playing a fuck ton of Bravely Default, which is
I didn't get it yet.
it is fantastic. I mean, you're going on and on and on about how much you love the old Final Fantasies and how you basically ripped off the entire plot for our game of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's because you guys won't fucking play it. Just play the game.
Bravely Default is a love letter to those fans. I'm almost happy that they're not actually calling it a Final Fantasy game, because they've kind of spoiled the name, at least in my opinion. I haven't been interested in Final Fantasy for, probably since 10.
Hey, they're making that. They're having that HD.
Yeah, but again, like, I have a decent enough old game collection, and the HD isn't the thing that really sells me. Like, I get into the HD for, games I don't have, or games that I've meant to play, and sometimes they're even cheaper if you buy them in an HD collection. But I can't really see replaying 10 for any amount of time. But again, it's Bravely Default is kind of that. It's actually pretty close to the remakes that they were making for the I guess the DS. It's just a little bit flashier. 3D worlds and stuff like that. But the combat system is pretty interesting. Kind of the whole Bravely and Default, very original name for the title. But basically, it's you're just kind of betting moves. So it more or less boils down to, if you think you can beat a creature in, say, 3 or 4 moves, which 4 is the maximum turns you can take at a time, then you kind of want to brave and take 4 moves in it at once. But if you don't defeat him in those 4 moves, your timer ticks down every time he moves, so you basically open yourself up to 4 consecutive attacks. Which, if you do a lot of grinding and, you're really used to RPGs, you kind of go into most battles, taking enemies out in a couple turns. But when it comes to bosses or characters that are weak against certain things, and you don't really know, physical damage doesn't actually do anything, it kind of makes it a very interesting gamble. Like, you don't want to brave up front because you kind of want to feel out the enemies. It keeps the battles more interesting than it would be otherwise. The you take a turn, I take a turn, you take a turn. But overall, it's just the story's kind of a weird RPG story where, like, you need to save the crystals that are, like, handed to you from God, and whatever weird, convoluted, earthy Final Fantasy plots. It's the same thing with different characters. But if those are the games you kind of grew up playing, it's well worth your time to sit down with the game. And you were saying they actually ended up selling out pretty quick. I don't know.
Oh,
if that's
yeah,
still the
yeah.
case.
Like it's been selling out like gangbusters.
That's I don't know whether that's they just didn't produce a lot because it is such a niche video game, or whatever the reason. But that's
I
kinda
think it's
good
just
news.
because they didn't think it was going to sell, because for some reason SquareSoft feels that they're not in the RPG business no more. And they don't
Well-
think that old school RPGs sell well. I mean, look at the newest Final Fantasy. That's not an RPG, man.
Yeah, but again, I'm not even mildly
J
interested.
JRPGs have kind of started to go by the wayside for the most part, and
Yeah,
I think that's where they were
I
coming
don't
from. with
understand
one.
that, because
Well-
there's still a need for them.
but you guys have both said you've been playing a lot of online RPGs. I think, to Joel's point, like, I feel like that is kind of what's replacing it. The people who do kind of enjoy the grind and collecting items and enchanting things, like, I feel like MMORPGs can scratch that itch. Maybe not the same format and not the same, broad story or whatever it may be, but you know, it, it it seems like it has the same trappings, and there's not as much of a need. You know, it's not consoles; it's PCs. People don't really play RPGs on their consoles. At least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, that I still feel that there's a need for console RPGs.
Well, other than Ni no Kuni, what was the last large RPG that was released for consoles that was even a moderate success?
Well, Squaresoft still feels that
Final Fantasy 13.
Final Fantasy 13,
Was
while
that a success?
it was, man, they've
Really?
made 3 of them.
Yeah, but
Yes,
they make
it
3
is
of
a
everything.
Big success.
That's not
I-
true. They never made. Well, I guess they did kind of make 3. They did make 3 Final Fantasy 7s in the end.
Well, with like
If you
all
think
the
about it.
PSP versions and all that.
Well, you
weird
got
shit.
Dirge of Cerberus, you got Final Fantasy 7, and you had Crisis Core.
And then that weird fucking movie.
And the mobile
Wow.
game.
Okay, and the mobile game. So they made 4 games. out of
I
Final
think
Fantasy
they
7.
just they get one really good idea and they're like, I don't know, people seem to like it. Let's just keep hitting that.
Final Fantasy 10 had 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
8,
know.
9 only had 1.
Look,
Nine.
we've all stated that we each like RPGs to a degree. I don't see the market. You know, I mean, was Lost Odyssey even a commercial success for the Xbox?
It was okay.
I don't think it was a
like I
flop.
don't remember the sales of that. It was an Xbox exclusive. People bought the Xbox for it.
Alright. That's something.
Just it just really. I don't know what the sales figures were, but it's for Mistwalker, which is a very small company. So it just depends on how much they. I don't know the figures.
I feel like
they Mistwalker makes money.
I feel like we're also kind of in a weird age too for video game consoles where everyone's kind of chasing your Grand Theft Autos and your Call of Duties, and like there's a handful of games like Madden or some of the sports releases that everyone goes out and buys, right? Like those are guaranteed a couple of million sales, and then even if an RPG comes out, they're like, well, it sold 500,000 or whatever it is. While that's probably good for the average video game, it's like, well, it's not Call of Duty numbers, or it's not GTA 4 numbers, or whatever it is. So I maybe that's kind of the problem too, is there's just not as much maybe coming out for consoles. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of shit out for consoles though.
I feel like part of the issue too, though, is you have to look. I mean, if you're gonna do this like market based, you have to look at that, and you have to look at the fact that there are more. I would say there's definitely a lot more gamers now than there were when we were growing up. So
Yeah, but
you have to look at one, not only like the types of games that they're looking to play, but you're also looking at you have a larger base of people. Like it's not like video game is not a niche thing anymore. It's a very broad, encompassing thing. So they have to try and do their best to make these, for the most part, what I consider pretty generic freaking games to try and draw in as many people as they can.
But then you have companies like Square that are making non-RPGs, and I would imagine if they're selling more of those games, then there's less and less incentive. Square just always comes to mind when you think RPGs.
Right.
But if they're out there selling, more traditional games, then what incentive do they have, to their stockholders or whoever it may be that they're beholden to make more of these, weird, quirky Japanese games? Not saying they won't sell. Not saying there's not an audience, and not saying you can't recoup your money.
With the opposite though. I mean, that's what happened with Irrational Games.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a few minutes, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's just.
Hey man,
We
if
can move
they're
on to
making
news.
money, put it to a core group. That's what they used to do. Just put it to a core group. You'll make your money,
Yeah,
and you'll put out a quality product.
but
that
the
people will
scale,
enjoy
the
the
number of people that are required to make these large Japanese RPGs like Ni no Kunis and the Final Fantasies, I feel like you can't do that with a team of 15, 20 people. Those are your, Call of Duty or Madden-sized teams where you have a couple different groups of people working on different things.
Well,
And plus the Madden, like let's face it, the games that come out like repeatedly, like you have a game in the series coming out every year or two,
Mhm.
you know, they're basically recycling the games that they had before and just adding little tweaks here and putting
Yeah,
a
that's
new
a good
finish
point.
on it.
I mean,
So
you don't really have a choice if you're doing it every year, though. But yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like you're basically playing the same game just tweaked over and over again. It's basically a mod. Let's put it that way.
Well, I guess Call of
It's
Duty
basically like
has
playing-
different studios.
Like every Call of Duty after Call of Duty Modern Warfare is just Call of Duty with mods.
Well, can you say the same thing about Assassin's Creed? I mean, I
Yes,
think those
absolutely you can.
Yes,
I
you
would say the
can.
middle twos definitely, and maybe a little bit of three, but I think four seemed like a pretty decent jump
After
in
the
tech.
first one. After the first one. Like the second one was the one that broke ground for them. The first one was awesome because it was
The first
it
one
was
was
the
kind
concept.
of a broken game, though. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They
the concept was really cool. It was a beautiful game, and the environment was really cool. But the actual gameplay was pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember
And just-
jumping up on a tower over and over and over because I didn't hit a very specific spot just right, and it was like stuck in some dream for like an hour, and I actually don't think I ever got past it. I think I just turned it off and walked away.
But you look at that, and then two really is what broke forward for them. One, story wise, was okay, and then like
I
the
really
gameplay-
enjoyed too.
the gameplay was just great. I mean, that was what really made that game. And then they just kept adding little tweaks and little things here for what was it, Brotherhood and then Revelations, and then even 3 was just like they added a little more tweaks, a little bit of new veneer, and punched it out as a new game. I mean, they just changed the environments every
Yeah.
time. most part.
Yeah. But, I mean, they added ships and stuff like that, but like you said, those
Right.
are mostly cosmetic.
It's basically like adding mods. It's basically the same. It's the same quality of gameplay you're gonna get from like playing Skyrim with mods, you know. And don't get me wrong, some of the mods are great and they definitely improve the game. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just I guess this is a problem with gaming in general nowadays. It feels like we're paying $60 for an expansion now these days, whereas
Yeah.
Well,
back.
I think on the flip side of that, it's really nice that we're paying, $15 for some great games. They may not be,
Oh, yeah.
8, 9, 10-hour experiences all the time, but, I just got finished playing Jazzpunk, and, that game was $15. I think I got it for like $12 on sale. And, while it wasn't the longest game in the world, probably about 3 hours, I love the shit out of that game. Like, it was kind of funny, it was clever. It wasn't the most revolutionary as far as gameplay, but I got more entertainment out of that than like you said, the $50-$60 I ended up spending on that piece of shit Assassin's Creed 3. Like it's yeah, it's kind of the good and the bad. Every once in a while, hopefully Watch Dogs will be decent. Hopefully this new Order 1866, I think it's called, or whatever it is. Like, these kind of larger new IPs, will finally be worth the $60. But yeah, if you're buying sequels, you're spending $60 for a patch. It's your
Yeah.
StarCraft expansion pack. It's great,
Money
new
grubbing from
maps,
art.
couple new units. The enemies are a different color, and keep fucking going. But all right, cool. Well then, let's go into news. Joel, what did you come across anything this week?
Yeah, Twitch playing Pokemon.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Twitch playing Pokemon, because I heard a little bit about this today, and it seems like one of the most fascinating fucking things that has happened on the internet in a long time. So give us a breakdown.
Alright, basically, there's a Twitch channel. I mean, if you haven't, if you're Twitch, you guys know Twitch.
Yeah, everyone.
The Twitch channel, it's Twitch plays Pokemon, right?
Mhm.
And essentially, what it is, it's a bot set up to translate the chat and take the chat entries for the different button presses. So like left, right, up, down, A, B, start and select, and they're playing through Pokemon Red, from start to finish, and it's just
You
like-
say finish as if people are
They're-
going to work together and actually finish this
Okay,
game.
they're like, I was looking into this. There's actually like people. I don't know specifics, but there's people like legitimately trying to like set up plans and stuff to try and because it's complete chaos.
Okay, so
because-
this is what I heard about today about their plan. So how I understand it is there's now a democracy mode and an anarchy mode. Did you look into that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's you type democracy or anarchy in the chat, and there's a bar on the screen, and if it gets to a certain point on on like the democracy side, it'll switch to a democracy mode, which basically it'll take the top the top input over the next 10 seconds.
So like
And
the
that's
average. So yeah, if everyone, if 60% of the people hit left, you'll go left.
Exactly. So the problem with that is it slows the game, it slows the inputs down a lot, but it helps things be a little bit more controlled.
So
I know
people
that-
aren't jumping off cliffs
Right.
or kind of walking backwards all the
There
time.
was an instance the other day. I think this is why it got put in, where it was stuck in a maze for like 12 hours.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I'm not sure which one that would be. It might be one of the caves.
I don't remember a specific
tunnels.
maze.
I haven't played that game in forever, but it's complete chaos for the most part because 90% of the time it's in anarchy mode.
This just seems like one of the most fascinating fucking social experiments that has gone on the internet in a very long time. It is the web equivalent of, a million monkeys in a million years banging on a million keyboards, will eventually write the works of Shakespeare. A million internet assholes taking a million years will eventually beat Pokemon Red. Like, I have to watch this. I've heard so much about it.
I just think it's amazing how far they've gotten too. Like,
Well,
I
I've also seen other games popping up. Like, it's not just Pokemon anymore. People are taking this script.
Right.
There's Final Fantasy VII. There was Tetris. Like, there's
Really?
all sorts of crazy shit that's popping up now.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII I saw this afternoon, and it was basically they were in the first dungeon. The smaller ones seemed to be a bit more organized. Probably the cooler one that was out was the Tetris one, because what they did is they put in a Game Genie code where if you press up on the input, you can actually move the blocks up. So instead of like just the games ending over and over and over, like it's this really weird tug of war of people trying to hit up enough times to like align it right, and like this whole thing I really hope catches on. It's I don't know if you guys have ever seen like Salty Bet or things like that, but this whole idea of interactive, basically passive entertainment is a fantastic leap forward, and something you couldn't do on television. Like, I don't know
Right.
how many of you guys still watch television, but I haven't had it in years, and most of my entertainment is just media on the web, and I've watched Twitch, I've watched, a lot of Let's Plays and things of that nature, but to be able to watch this kind of perfect chaos unfold, and then if I want to be an asshole or I want to, try to help out the cause and actually, move on to the next fucking map, that's interesting. That's a really cool concept. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this stuff. I want to see where this goes. I also saw that there is another kind of Pokemon bot gameplay channel. It's not interactive, but it's RNG plays Pokemon, which is just a random number generator. And to see it, and it's kind of, I guess the hypothesis is more of, is it possible to play this game completely random? Like, is the game hold your hand so well that it's almost impossible to lose? So if he can run this thing for a year and manages to beat it with a random number generator, that's pretty fucking impressive.
They
The
could
downside
probably
of
do it
that.
with Mario Party.
See, but
Unless-
again, now I would want
unless
to
they
watch
have
that
Luigi.
too. I would love to watch a random number generator try to play Mario Party or any game.
See,
like,
the thing is though, it's like I think it's cool. It's really really interesting as hell. I mean, just the concept in general is, but I can't watch it for more than 5 minutes because it's just so excruciating watching that. Like, they got stuck in an elevator for about 20 minutes yesterday while I was watching, and I couldn't take it anymore. Like, they would actually get up to the panel, and the menu would come up, and because Twitch is on a delay, like, people wouldn't realize it. So like, it would come up, and then like they'd still be hitting like the buttons or whatever, and then like someone would hit B randomly, and that's what would get inputted. And
That's a
then
good point. Isn't Twitch on like a 4-minute delay or something like that? How is that
it's-
even possible?
it's 20 to 40 seconds.
Okay. Well, I guess
So-
that's reasonable.
So what was happening is, like, they would get up to the panel, it would come up, but and like everyone would hit the down button. Like a lot of people would type the down button to try and get it to go down to like the different levels or whatever. But it was on a delay and it was in democracy mode, and someone hit somehow B1 at some point in there, or it automatically switched to like the first one that was at the top because a bunch of people hit A right away. So then once that went away, then like all the people pressing down finally came up. So then like over the next couple moves, the guy moved to the bottom of the elevator instead of trying to leave, but it wasn't the right floor, so they had to try and work their way back up to get to the panel again. And it's just
oh
like,
my god. Yeah,
it's just
okay.
so
Now I can see that
excruciating.
being
yeah,
almost well, but again, you know, maybe it's the equivalent of flipping the channels now. Like maybe you'll have like 4 or 5 of these lined up, and you know you'll spend a half an hour just kind of flipping between and be like, I wonder where Final Fantasy is, or I wonder where Strider is at this point. You know, I don't know.
you can't play a game like Strider with that.
Oh.
You can,
Yeah.
any
I
any
wanna
game
see
that
them
requires
try.
Twitch kind of like motor skills. There's no way you could do it like this.
Hey man, I bet you with Infinite Lines and Infinite Continues, you could brute force your way
Wow,
through that
yeah,
game.
but
Yeah, I mean, you're
I
gonna
don't
have
know,
to
with
bend the rules a
checkpoints
little
and
bit.
timing and all that stuff. I don't know.
I want to see
I
how
don't know
far
you'll
we
be able
can
to see
take
it.
this. This is this is something I am very, very interested in seeing moving forward. All right, Blendy, how about you? Have you found anything in the news recently?
Bioshock!
Okay, so
No more!
it's not BioShock. Irrational Games, the studio, shut down.
Yeah, guess what? There was fuck that. Without we've seen BioShock 2. What happens without forget
Ken Levine.
Ken Levine?
Well,
Without Ken Levine, there is no BioShock. So
so
fuck
did you
it.
see what he said in the letter though? Like it's
He's tired of suits, man. He's tired of suits telling him what to do. And that's all well and good, but you put a good amount of people out of work. Now listen,
but-
I
all but
understand
15.
it's not the money, my good sir. You want to make art. And I appreciate that, man. You do a good job. You do art. However, when you said, well, all right, when he said that he wanted to do a more narrative-driven game, I went like, "What the hell are you talking about? That's all your games." Sprinkled in with a little fleeting first-person shooter.
Sure, but I kind of understood that of he wants to make smaller projects. So whether that means downloadable games or, short form episodic games or whatever it is, it seems like he wants to get away from the larger, oh, you have this great story, but we need to be able to shoot people in the face in order for people to buy it. So yes, I agree with you. I think he wanted to get away from the suits, but there was also kind of some talk that maybe this wasn't entirely his decision as far as
What?
irrational games.
Where's your works cited, sir?
I
This
had
is
heard that there-
speculation.
I had heard that there. I don't know any specifics, but there was like people saying that they've been having problems for a while. That
Because
It
you have to
was.
realize how long BioShock
Oh, yeah,
Infinite
it
took
was-
to produce. They had to bring in, basically a couple cleanup crews. Like, the company was not in great shape. And yes, while Ken Levine is the driving force behind that, Take-Two may not want to keep investing. So, again, this is purely speculation, on other news sites and things like that. But they're saying that, basically said, hey man, if you want to stick around, you can have a small team and do whatever you want, because again, you're Ken Levine, your games are going to sell no matter what, but you don't get the budget anymore. You don't get these huge payroll, the amount of money that game cost Irrational was astronomical for the production. So, yes,
Well, good thing
again,
it paid off.
I don't know if it's fair to say that, he put everyone's head on the chopping blocks. He was very apologetic. He was, saying that he's going to try to set people up and make sure everyone's taken care of because, as any responsible head of a video game, those people are essentially his family. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And he also has the screenwriting credit or whatever he's doing with the new Logan's run. So maybe between splitting
I
his
heard about
time
that.
or maybe his contract just ran out and the shareholders said no. There's a
He
million
just wants to
things.
do movies now.
Well, he wants
That's
to do
probably
movies
what it
and
is.
small scale games. I think that's interesting. Obviously, we're all going to kind of look forward to whatever he puts out. Pretty much everything that he's touched has had some sort of glow to it. But yeah,
Some sort of glow.
whether it's plasmid glows or otherwise, it's also kind of a bummer just to shut down 2K Boston, or excuse me, Irrational Boston.
Yeah, dude.
It's not a great time for anyone looking for jobs. But on the plus side, you kind of have to look at this team has a spectacular fucking resume.
That is very true.
The people who were say, oh, the last project I worked on was BioShock Infinite, or the people who've been there longer saying, yeah, I worked on all 3 of the BioShock games. That's going to take you far in this industry.
Well, Take-Two helped produce or develop the original BioShock, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
I think they've been in it from the beginning, and Irrational was just kind of, I think it's not unfair to say Ken Levine can be a little strong-headed and a little strict in his artistic, vision, and maybe just butt heads 3 too many times or 2 too many times, and just said, all right, you now get a small team and a smaller budget. You are still welcome here, but you don't get the piggy bank. You don't get, the blank check anymore, which I kind of understand it from a company's point of view, but at the same time, it's, what comes next? If we're not going to see another BioShock, or we're not going to see, these large-scale games from him, I'm kind of really interested to see what he ends up doing. Is he going to start going after, the Walking Deads and the Wolf Among Us kind of games of, small episodic but very, very heavily story-driven is at least my personal vote. I really enjoy those types of games, and I think with a name like Ken Levine, it could be really fucking interesting.
You know what really kills me about those Telltale games? Is
What's
that... Alright, Walking Dead sold an exuberant amount. Basically made Telltale's budget worries go away.
Basically
They
gave them a
made
budget
so
again.
They made so much money on that game, and they've ported it to disc many times. People are still buying it. Still.
Now on the
Yeah.
PSP.
Not on PS.
Or, excuse me, the
PlayStation
Vita.
But that's just because people don't understand the joy of owning a PlayStation Vita.
Nice soft sell.
However, the thing is about these games is that they put towards a core audience. It's a point-and-click adventure game.
Sure, it's our generation that kind of grew up on the Sam and Max and the Day of the Tentacles and the Maniac Mansions, like that strikes a certain chord, just like JRPGs,
However, going towards these core markets, and then it paid off for them greatly.
Yeah,
It was like
but they haven't all,
Minecraft,
Jurassic
very core
Park was
audience blew up. Maybe these companies should stop worrying about average Joe Schmo that wants to play Call of Duty X.
But they're not all winners. You have to look at your Jurassic Parks, you have to look at your Back to the Futures, you have to look at, all the other times they've tried and, technically failed. Like, these, while they are smaller scale games, they can't be super cheap to produce. That's a large art budget, that's a large writing budget, that's a large voice acting budget. But, if you make a couple of them that fail, obviously The Walking Dead and presumably Wolf Among Us and, probably the Borderlands one is going to do all right. They're kind of keeping them
I
afloat.
forgot about that one.
Yeah, but
Oh man,
they weren't in a great position, like you said. Telltale was not in a great position before The Walking Dead, so they don't have a lot of free capital to play with. Obviously they bought themselves a little bit of a cushion, but they can't keep striking out. They're basically 2 for 4. It's but again, I'm rooting for them because I love those style of games.
Yeah,
I haven't played the
fantastic.
second season of Walking Dead yet. I haven't heard
Yeah, I
too
haven't
much
I
about
haven't
it.
played that first episode either.
But The Wolf Among Us is fantastic. I mean, not that it really matters to Telltale, but they got me into the comic books. Like, it was something I never really looked up until
Profit deal, baby.
I'm
Yeah.
still waiting. I'm still waiting for a remake of Peasant's Quest.
Peasant's
Insane.
Quest. But I want to see some more Sam and Max games now. Like, maybe borrow some of the writers, and because not all of the Sam and Max were spectacular. But yeah, I don't know.
But
I think-
they did 3 like 2 years ago.
yeah, but I mean, I liked a handful of the Sam and Max games. I think I have most of them, thanks to the glorious
Telltale-
Steam sales.
Telltale do the Strong Bad games?
I believe
Was
they
that
did. Yep.
Was that Telltale?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was Telltale. And again, that's a delightful game.
I never
had
played
enjoyed this
those.
time.
I played about 10 minutes at a friend's house. That was about it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I don't know. I like what they're doing. I'm picking up what they're putting down. So we'll see. Yeah. And then the only other piece of news that I have is the Year of Luigi is coming to an end, guys. On March 18th, it will cease to be the Year of Luigi.
Good.
no.
Maybe Nintendo will turn a profit then.
Aw, see, that's what everyone's fucking...
Hey,
Everyone's
here,
blaming
here,
Luigi for
here's
Nintendo's
your
financial
year.
woes.
Make
That
a
is
lot of money for us.
unfair.
Oh, I will. And then,
No, that is unfair. You cannot put this all on
No
fucking
more
Luigi.
money.
Luigi.
I think what probably is the most interesting thing that's coming out of the Year of Luigi coming to an end is the speculation if they're going to do another Year of. I don't think Nintendo has confirmed that there's going to be another Year of anything, but you're hearing a lot of Year of Samus, Year of Yoshi, Year of Link being thrown around.
Why Luigi? Luigi's like the reject of the Mario Brothers.
But that's, he's the underdog, and I look, man, I fucking like Luigi as the tall, awkward guy, fucking coming in second place. He's a relatable character, I'm the younger brother. I'm fucking second in line. I like fucking Luigi.
It's like if
y'all
they
can
tried-
step off.
I don't know.
But yeah, and what did we get out of it? We
Year
got
of-
Super Luigi U. We got Luigi Dr. Mario or Dr. Luigi whatever.
Super Mario Luigi.
Yeah, I don't think they did enough with it. It's
Sounds like they tried too hard.
they did. Well, actually, you know what? I will say, what we
Dr.
did get out of
Luigi?
it? We got Luigi's Mansion, and Luigi's Mansion 2 was a
Yeah, Luigi's
fantastic
Mansion
fucking
2 's
game.
good.
So, if that's all that came out of the Year of Luigi, I would say it's worth it because I fucking love that game.
Good game.
I feel like they should have just realized that they were throwing their money away when they're like, "Oh, Dr. Luigi, that sounds like a great idea."
Well,
No, it was
but I think like those
something
little
small that they
downloadable
could make
games
money
are inexpensive. I think those games are very low cost for Nintendo, like that Nintendo remix. I don't think it's not a Super Mario 3D World,
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't. Right now they need to be. How can we make money? This way, people will buy this most definitely. Let us make it. Let us make it another time. 'Cause
You
now
know
they're
how they
gonna
can
come
make
with
money is fucking promoting the new Super Smash Brothers at EVO this year and not being giant dickholes.
Smash.
Yeah, Smash is coming out, right after EVO. I think EVO
That'll sell.
I'll be honest, I haven't paid
Huge
attention to anything with the
shelf.
Super Smash Brothers, and
You-
it considering that it's my favorite game series, I'm surprised myself. But
Well, all
I
they've
just-
done is announce characters. They haven't done much with
that's
it.
all they ever do until
Sure.
the game. But dude, I saw that Little Mac is in it now,
Yes, Little Mac is indeed the new character.
Mario
and Mega Man.
Okay, I'm super excited for Mega Man. That's like
Animal
Snake.
Crossing guy.
Animal Crossing,
I don't
Wii
care
Fit
about
Girl.
Villager, the Wii
Really?
Fit Girl.
See,
You know what? I don't like. Look, it's like Mr. Game and Watch. Like, I would have said the same thing. Like, that's a stupid fucking idea. And yes, they may not necessarily be the best characters, but it adds a lot of variety to those games. And you know, when we're sitting around drinking, playing Smash Brothers, maybe I want to play as Wii Fit Girl, and I'm gonna be fucking happy that they have it when I want to. You know?
Yeah. Not to mention, Mario. Nintendo's not known for their here's our girls.
Yeah, they have
You know-
Peach. They have Daisy and Samus and Zelda.
And that's fucking it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, they needed.
they never
okay,
had Daisy.
what girl
Daisy?
to put in here?
Daisy was just a skin for.
That's just a skin. She doesn't even.
That is a valid point, but they fleshed her out in Mario parties and you know.
Oh, they
later
put
games.
Rosalina and Luma in there too.
Oh, I forgot about See,
Right,
everyone always forgets about
Rosalina. Yeah,
Rosalina.
they did put Rosalina in there.
They put Rosalina in the new Mario game too, as like a
I saw
character
that.
you don't unlock until the very fucking end of the game. But she doesn't really vary too much. Yeah, but so yeah, Year of Luigi is coming to an end. It's I know everyone's very upset about it, but
Hooray!
or some people are actually excited about it.
I don't even own a Wii U, so I can't
Wait,
really say
you're
anything.
pissed. Well, why don't you own a Wii U?
Because
Well, you're poor, but you
Yeah,
got no money.
but it's
However,
there's maybe three games
people
that are
still
worth
don't
getting.
understand, man. That it's a new console. Nobody
Yeah,
knows about this.
They still think it's a fucking controller.
well, they probably should have, used
People
a
are
different
buying
name.
Wii U games and putting them in a Wii. They go like, why doesn't this work?
Well, and that's partially Nintendo's fault, and partially, the fact that the people who buy Wii's don't give a shit about video games. The people who bought the first Wii were, mothers who wanted to play Wii Fit and Wii Sports. So, it's hard to say. But, it's Nintendo. If we, said that Nintendo was down and out and we were...
We
Okay.
just need Nintendo to survive.
And they
Okay.
will.
A reviewer made a very good point that it's a review I saw today, and
You know,
they
what's
said that the one thing that Nintendo does right, but they just for some reason it's not like I don't know if it's not working out in their favor or if they just aren't marketing properly. The one thing they do right is they do local multiplayer right. They do it properly. Like
Yes.
they make it a console game as opposed to a watered down PC.
Well, how many times when we're all sitting around and we're looking for a game for, 2 or more people to play, how often do we gravitate to a Nintendo console of some sort?
Exactly.
And they've always done that.
Exactly, and I think that's one thing that they should really look into. I think maybe that's something that they could. I mean, I'm sure they are. I'm sure that's.
I'm
but
sure
I feel
they're very
aside
aware
from-
of their...
Aside from just like Mario Party or like the Super Mario Worlds and all that stuff, like branching out a little bit and finding other games. Like, I mean, what was it, Zelda: The Four Swords?
Mm-hmm.
Does that come out for Wii U?
No.
No.
Okay, well they just put one out on like 3DS or something
They
like that.
just gave it
Yeah.
to everyone shortly for free on the...
For free.
3DS.
Right. You could do a 4-player game like that,
Sure.
like a hack and slash game. It doesn't even. It could be even like kiddie like that, and it'd be fine. They just need to like branch out more from their Mario franchise and try to do a little bit more multiplayer wise. I
the
think have a little bit more success.
I mean, they would probably love to do that. However, they need to make money, and what sells? What sells? Mario.
You say that as if Nintendo doesn't have any money, though. Like, I feel like everyone's all doom and gloom about Nintendo, and yes, we joke, like, Nintendo just has to survive, Nintendo just has to, put out a first-party game once a year. But I honestly think they're perfectly fine. Yes, they are not the largest console seller. Yes, they're not at the top of the game anymore. It's not 1990 anymore. Like, they are not the big fish in the pond. But they have plenty of capital. They have plenty of developers. They're still buying new studios. They're still trying to develop new IPs. Like, I feel like just because they're not at the top doesn't mean that they're going anywhere. Maybe...
No, I don't think they're going anywhere. However, like third parties are not making games for the Wii U.
No, but to a certain point, they don't fucking need to. Like, there's a lot of
Oh,
games
that's true.
I am not gonna buy on the Wii U because think of the people who are fighting for Nintendo right now. It's the 20s, 30s, 40 somethings who grew up with the system. That's why we're so defensive over this company, because we fucking love Nintendo. We grew up on Nintendo. And most of us have more than one console. We're going to buy our Xboxes, we're going to buy our PS4s, and then out of loyalty, we're going to shell out that couple $100, maybe not at launch. Maybe Joel doesn't want one, right away, but I guarantee you, Joel, you're eventually going to own a fucking Wii U, and you're
Probably
gonna
if the new Super Smash Brothers is in.
and that's what I mean. Like, we're all eventually going to jump on the Nintendo ship. Yes, they're not selling it to everyone out there, but there's enough of us singing their praises, and there's enough of us who, when we have kids, I'm buying my kids fucking Nintendos. Like, I don't give a shit if they want the new Xbox 720, whatever with the Kinect that still doesn't fucking function. Like, they're getting a Nintendo, and they're gonna have to be fucking happy about it. But on that rant, I guess that concludes the first episode of the Pixel Ship podcast. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. If you want to reach out, you can contact us at pixelshipblog@gmail.com, or come check out our website at pixelship.net. We're going to have reviews, we're going to have editorials, we're going to have a little bit of extra video content. We're just going to, shoot the shit about video games and talk about what we all love. So thank you very much, Joel.
Huzzah!
Thank you very much, Ryan.
You're welcome.
And we will talk to you guys all next week.